Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back for another episode of the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, as many of you know, I'm somewhat of a one-man band. I arrange and book in 7 podcasts per week, research and get my questions ready, record and edit and publish them all myself, as well as that bulging inbox, which is a problem that everybody has to deal with. But I also help others launch their own podcast too and take away the pain that goes with it for them so they can just record an interview and let me worry about the rest. And then I also ghostwrite tech articles for businesses, tech leaders, futurists, and even the occasional celebrity. And when I do have a few moments, I also write tech articles in my own name on a variety of channels, such as the Next Web. But my biggest problem is that I struggle to let go or outsource any of my tasks and insist on doing it all myself. But you know what? I love it. So I got no complaints at all from me, and it beats working for someone else. Instead, I choose to serve you, my audience. However, in the presence of today's guests, I'm scared of appearing very, very lazy. Think about the most exciting elements of complex technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, augmented reality, cryptos, blockchain. And now imagine working with them all to completely transform the creative process and including elements of them all into creating and launching a music album and then the music videos and even a documentary. Now, as we approach nearly 500 episodes, I can say that today's guest is near the top of my list for inspiration and creativity. But I won't reveal too much now. I mean, she's a big star online, so you may have heard of her already, but let me beam your ears all the way to LA so we can speak with Taryn, who's just stepped off set to speak with us today. Now, she is an artist, producer, internet person, cat lady, AI and crypto enthusiast that lives in the future. So let's beam over there to see her right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Taryn. I am a writer, producer, content creator. I am a bit of a jack of all trades when it comes to production. I've been living in LA for 12 years and working in television, film, and digital media. And I think that pretty much encompasses what I do.
I think that's not even scratching the surface. I mean, you first appeared on my radar when I learned that you're a digital storyteller that is composing music with the power of artificial intelligence. Now, I thought I span a lot of plates, but you're a writer, producer, artist that tells stories all through technology. And most importantly, you help others do the same. But you also advise companies in the AI, VR, AR, crypto, and there is so much more too. So I don't know where to begin. So maybe we should go back.
Thank you.
Maybe we should go back.
You did a better job of introducing me than.
So maybe we should go back to the start of your journey. I mean, can you tell me more about your backstory and where your love of art, music, and technology came from?
Oh man, I think it's hard to say. I started doing theater when I was just a little girl and grew up in musical theater and found a love for the arts there. And I think simultaneously, I grew up in my adolescence. I was really there for the birth of the internet in many ways, like the explosion of technology in our everyday lives. I remember being, I think it was 8 years old when the first version of Photoshop came out, and I was able to work on a computer and design little pieces of artwork. And then I believe I was 9 or 10 when I was allowed to get on AOL Instant Messenger for the first time. Those were the days. And it just opened the doors of possibility. I think I always saw technology as an enabler for artists to connect, to share, to source inspiration. So one of the first things I ever did, I was 12 years old, and one of the first things I did that was sort of a combination of my love for technology and art was build a Beanie Babies fan site. And I designed sparkly little GIF graphics that rotated and exploded all over the page. I'm sure that visitors loved that. But I've just always had a deep fascination and interest in using technology to tell stories that are three-dimensional and that reach different types of audiences and explore the way that we all interact and communicate.
And you really seem to be doing just that. And you're now using AI to compose melodies, harmonies, and also produce instrumentation. I mean, can you tell me more about how that technology works, and indeed how you introduce that creative process too?
Sure. The technology itself works differently depending on the different AI platform or algorithm that you are using. I was actually searching for a way to create instrumental background music for my YouTube videos. I was a YouTuber for many years, and I still occasionally upload a YouTube video every so often. And it's hard to find great music. And I'm not a traditional composer in the sense that while I have a musical sense about me and I can sing and I can play basic piano, I do not know how to actually produce music. I don't play multiple instruments. I just don't have that traditional music background. And so I was looking for alternative ways to create background music that sounds good and isn't too expensive for my little YouTube budget. And I stumbled across some AI music platforms. And this was maybe a year and a half ago, so pretty early on. Many of them were still in beta and testing out their technology, and I found them very fascinating. So I did a deep dive into the technology and realized that it was actually getting pretty good. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to give myself a creative challenge and make an entire album using only these AI tools. And so I did that, and for the past year or so, I've been working on that album in my free time whenever I have a chance, and I'm very excited because I've released a few songs from the album, and I have a few more coming out over the next 3-4 months. But in terms of the way that it works with the technology, it's very different depending on the platform and algorithm. But happy to walk you through any one of them if you'd like.
Yeah, I would love to hear just a basic overview of how it works and how it differs from your traditional recording process, maybe.
Sure. Well, I think the way that one of the analogies that I've been using that I think feels accurate, at least to me, because I work in other storytelling categories, is that the AI is essentially providing me with raw footage, and it's my job to edit it together into something that is that I find beautiful or interesting. So with all of these programs, I'm essentially providing some level of input or parameters around what I'm looking to create, whether that is a mood or genre, or a series of more mathematical constructs around music like BPM or key, or like how many sections I want the song to have, and is it a building song? Does it build in instrumentation and in energy, or does it slow down in instrumentation and energy? These are all the different parameters I can provide it with. And some of the programs like Watson, I can even feed it certain pieces of data that allow it to apply a deep learning algorithm to. And from those pieces of data, it can then learn from that musication and then produce something like it. So for instance, I just wrote a pop song that was inspired by music from the Romantic period, 1800 to 1840s, piano concertos, actually. And that was done by feeding it some data from that time period. So it makes for a very interesting piece of music, I think.
It really does. And I love the fact that you've created an entire album using artificial intelligence. That is impressive on its own. And quite challenging as well, I would imagine. But you've not stopped there. I mean, you've also created immersive VR music videos to accompany some of those songs. And I think you also used the YouTube Creator VR program to make that possible and bring those songs to life. Can you tell me more about that?
You do your homework. Wow. So YouTube, because I've been, as I said, I was a YouTuber for many years and an early content creator on the platform. I think my first video was uploaded in 2007. So I've been very involved with the YouTube. There's a YouTube space here in Los Angeles where a lot of the creators go and we shoot and we collaborate. And they have a creator program. It's like a grant program that allows creators to do experimental things on the platform. And they were really excited to see how YouTube creators might embrace virtual reality. And because I was already very interested in doing some VR work, I came to them with this idea, and they gave me a grant to make these immersive VR music videos for the album. So we've got a handful of them that will be released, and just posted the last one. I think it was three or so weeks ago, life support, and that was built entirely with Google Tilt Brush and Blocks, which are very creator-friendly programs that are very inexpensive to use. So it's one way to create high quality VR content without having to go to a very expensive heavy duty animation studio.
Now, I love everything you're doing here and find your passion for art and technology incredibly inspiring. But even now, we're still only scratching the surface, because I believe you're also working on the world's first tokenized song using an Ethereum smart contract, which is included on the I Am AI. I mean, my understanding around that is it's powered by a token that can actually enable hundreds of people to collaborate on a song and then split the proceeds or royalty payments using Ethereum smart contracts. Can you tell the listeners what inspired you to take that route too? Because it seems you're transforming so many different elements of the industry.
Thank you. Well, so I do feel here in LA we're in this really interesting, it's actually happening all over the world, really. Yeah. I mean, there are communities everywhere that are embracing technology in unique ways and then applying certain technology to other categories and it just wasn't happening several years ago. So for me, I've been an active member of the crypto community for several years now, and I've been fascinated by blockchain and what's possible for artists, but it's always just felt like we're a few years out from this technology having full adoption. But experiments are obviously happening everywhere, and I met a group of people who had just put together a new sort of tokenized system that allowed for these large-scale collaborations to occur, and we discussed doing an experiment for the album. So we did. It's the Taryn token, which we gave away for free to, it was around 310 individuals. And those 310 individuals all now own a piece of the back end of this song. They share in it equally. And so when I receive royalties from streaming, mechanical, sales of the song, that will all be sent to a trust, which then will run through this Ethereum smart contract and then automatically send micropayments to everyone who's an owner of this song. And to make the experiment a bit more interesting, I invited all of these people to actually collaborate with me on this track in the same way that I would work with another songwriter or collaborator. So we've had a really fun time in a very large Slack conversation, writing and submitting lyrics and piecing together this song, deciding on a theme, deciding on how we want it to sound. And it's been really, really fun. I'm in the we finished the lyrics of the song, and now I'm working on the composition.
Now, as an active member of the crypto community with a lot of experience in that area, were you a little bit nervous a couple of days ago? Everything was heading south.
You know what's funny? I just don't even pay attention to it anymore. It does. I realized over Christmas that my blood pressure was higher than usual, and I thought it has to be from all of the crypto. Even when things are good, right? Because you get this surge of adrenaline, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Ethereum's up to 1,400. And then of course, now it's way down. But I just decided I'm done looking. I'm not going to look for a while. So I heard about it, and I just did my best to ignore. I mean, I think for me, I'm in this for the long haul. Yeah. So it's just like anything else where you investing in stock market can be equally nail biting, but if you just take a step away from the keyboard, I think that's the key.
I think the best thing to come out of the last 5 or 6 weeks is nobody's looking at Blockfolio every 2 seconds anymore, are they?
Yes, exactly.
So back to what we were talking about a few moments ago. Am I right in saying that you have 300 token holders or collaborators already, and they're using that AI to compose a track as well as collect and analyze data from users that populate the song?
So we are actually using AI to compose the track, although that was not the initial intention when I started the experiment. I wanted to see what happened when you incentivize a large group of people to collaborate on a creative project, have some skin in the game, so to speak. Yeah. And then they're all incentivized once that project is done to help share and get the word out. I think one of the biggest problems right now that artists face is this dilution of impact as a result of there just being so much content out there. It was like 10 years ago, not even, I'll say 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you could make a living on YouTube by posting just one video a week. And that just almost seems absurd now. I'm not saying it was a good living, but you could make a living, you could get by. Yeah. And now it's the expectation is that you have to be releasing content daily if you want to maintain your audience. And I think that pressure is felt not only by content creators, but by publishers. And it makes it really hard to be seen and to stand out from the crowd. And so discoverability being a problem, connecting with an audience in a real way, it's harder to do. So I think these kinds of experiments using blockchain technology, where you can enable new kinds of incentivization and connection models with your audience, are really, really exciting. So anyway, sorry, that was a very long answer for, yes, we are using AI on the song. That wasn't the original intention. It was just that the collaborators almost unanimously voted for AI to be the composition tool. I think they were so curious. But with this particular song, we don't yet have the ability to write AI in the cloud. The programs are housed on my computer. So I actually just asked my collaborators, hey, what kind of genre are you guys most excited about? I had them all submit songs that they loved, that represented revolution and that were anthemic. And then we took their submissions and fed that into the AI algorithm, into the data, so that the AI could learn from those songs and we could build something that was a new anthemic revolution song for the blockchain community.
Oh man, you need a t-shirt with that on. That sounds fantastic. But we've still got so much to talk about. I mean, can I ask you about your untitled human intelligence project too? I mean, that's incredibly exciting.
Thank you. That's actually what I've been spending 95% of my time on,
wow,
at least for the past 2 months. I started producing this. The Untitled Human Intelligence Project now has a name, actually.
Ooh.
So maybe I'll reveal that right here. But no, for the past year and change, I've been producing this documentary on what it means to be human as we enter this new era of artificial intelligence and frontier technology, and how that changes fundamentally what it means to be a human being. And so it's been a very large scope film project. We've shot it like a sci-fi film, so it's very exciting, and are following some of the most cutting edge technologies and stories at the forefront of science and neurotechnology. So we just finished wrapping 9 days of production. We do stretches of production, and so I'm coming off of a 9-day crazy bender, so to speak, of filming, and I feel like I'm just re-entering the world. Actually, you're my first call / socialization, so I'm getting back into the swing of real life as of today. But I'm very excited about this project. It will be complete by September of this year, and then hopefully available on Netflix or Amazon or somewhere awesome.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll have to get you back on when that's released, definitely. But
Yes.
Now, I love that, how you're leading transformational change in so many different ways there. But, I mean, how do you see technology evolving, and what's your grand vision, do you think?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's just moving so fast now. I suppose when I look back on the past 20 or so years, it's crazy to think that when I was born, there was no such thing as instant messenger or Google, or, I mean, it's just crazy, right? And now it's infiltrated every aspect of our lives, and it will just continue to do so in bigger ways. I think that there's like an optimistic version and there's a dystopian version of how it will evolve, and I probably fit a bit more on the optimistic side of things. I think in many ways we might look back on today and think, wow, it's so awful that those humans had to carry around these screens in their pockets, and they constantly had their face just buried in a laptop, hunched over, and it was almost like I could see how we'd view technology today as actually taking us further away from our humanhood. I think as we move forward into the future and we get better at things like AR and AI, my hope is that technology becomes a bit more invisible. It becomes a bit more embedded in our daily lives in a way that allows us to be more connected to each other and essentially enhance the best parts of our lives while not completely eroding, I think, some of the things that we've potentially lost over the past 5-10 years with the advent of the smartphone.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So is there anything else that you're particularly excited about? Any significant tech trends or just anything else that you can share with us today?
Man, I mean, I'm excited about all of it. I was at a web summit in Portugal last fall, and I got to meet Sophia the robot, who's certainly made the rounds. And I was definitely stunned. It was a moment for me where I thought, if I'd had, let's say, 5 or 6 cocktails tonight, I might actually think Sophia was a real human being. And I wasn't sure whether I felt alarmed or whether I was impressed, or I couldn't even define my own internal reaction to this robot that had very human-like facial expressions, and I ended up interviewing her, and I have that video up on my YouTube channel, and it was impossible for me not to apply basic levels of human empathy and socialization to my conversation with her, just because I'm so trained to see certain facial expressions and modes of communication as real. So that I think I'm really curious to see how robotics shape out over the next 5-10 years. On the positive side, I think it will be game changing for elderly and the sick and people who lack someone who can take care of them. I think we'll see a huge positive shift in that direction. And then who knows what the negative things will be. We can only imagine. But I'm very, very curious to see how robotics will evolve.
Yeah, I've seen some incredibly exciting things on that front in the healthcare industry, where it can even stop sense when an elderly person is about to fall and correct their position. Have you seen that?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. No, I just think it's one of those things where if we aspire to create technology that enables us to be better versions of ourselves and to experience more and to do less of just the routine task-oriented things that, quite honestly, AI is very good at doing and humans are okay at doing, and we enable ourselves to do more of the things we're really good at, which is creative synthesis and storytelling and community and all of those things. I think we have a really bright future ahead of us, and those are the things that we need to be encouraging with young people who are getting into engineering and technology development, to think about how those principles can be embedded in their work.
See, that's the exciting thing there. Everything that you've just mentioned there is what I'm passionate about technology for the exact same reasons. But do you wince slightly when a lot of the media, and a lot of the tech media as well, just concentrate on, android robots with red eyes from Terminator 2 and things, and some latest AI scary story? Why is nobody concentrating on the good things,
I do. I think it's so strange that the AI apocalypse is coming has dominated the headlines. I mean, if you talk to a lot of engineers who are building this stuff, it's not only is it just it's far too early to even be making these bold, presumptuous claims about AI taking over, but I think it just sends the wrong message to people. When a lot of this technology could be incredibly helpful to us in diagnosing disease and dysfunction. The list could go on and on and on and on. I actually have a list on a computer of all of the things that I'm excited about AI doing. And it is unfortunate that we get the doom and gloom story more than the optimism stories, but that's why people like you and I are doing what we're doing, hopefully telling a different story. I knew when I started making this album, I would get a lot of pushback from the music community who would see this as a threat, and I thought to myself, you know what, it's fine, because if someone's got to get out in front of this and show that this technology is actually enabling creativity, and until you use it just doesn't, you may not totally understand and have a judgment call about it, but eventually, I think we'll see, as people start to adopt and use these things and find new exciting ways to create and to learn using technology, I think we'll see a shift.
That's what art and the creative process is all about, isn't it? Using those new exciting tools and creating something different that's never been done before. That's the fundamentals of it.
That's right. And I've thought about a funny comic strip that maybe I'll have to do today on my first day off. But I thought about a comic strip when was the piano first created or originated? I have no idea, but I'd guess started with the organs maybe back in, I'm going to embarrass myself by throwing out a bad time period, but I can imagine the first human who built a piano sitting there being like, I wonder what we're going to lose if we adopt this technology. How do we lose in our humanhood? How does this take away from the music of the voice that humans have been using for hundreds of years. And then you cut to like 2003 when electronic music is at its boom and rap producers are like, oh, this terrible electronic music, what's it taking away from us? I don't know. You could just do this whole series of, I think we always are uncomfortable with new technology and feel that it's taking something away from us. And that's possibly quite true. But we always seem to find something new to extract from it and new things to create. And that's the exciting part.
I love how we've talked about so much today, but I still need to get you back on now. We've already got a growing list of things to talk about in the next episode.
Thank you, Neil.
We got the comic strip. We got the AI list of good and noble causes that we can go after. And also the release of your documentary. So we will have to get you back on. But before I do let you go today, can you remind the listeners of where they can find you online, your new album, and also where they can speak or contact your team if they've got any questions about the exciting things we've talked about today?
Thank you. Yes. Well, I'm on all the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and my account is it's my name, Taryn Southern. That's my channel and my account on across all of those platforms. And you can just find, if anyone wants to get in touch, they can go to my website, TarynSouthern.com. You can get in touch with me there.
Excellent. Well, again, a big thank you for coming on today. I love how you've used cutting-edge technology and used it in the creative process to create new and exciting art. But you've done all this by actually combining art, music and technology, which you've got to admit is incredibly cool. So a big thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Neil. Thanks for having me, and thanks for putting up with my sleep-deprived self after my week of shooting. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to come back on.
The way in which Taryn has brought technology and the creative process together is truly inspirational and incredibly exciting for me. Because rather than fear artificial intelligence, she is using it to create music and transform that entire creative process to create something truly unique. And isn't that what being an artist is all about? I also love how she doesn't stop there and turning to augmented reality and virtual reality to record the music videos, again in a completely new way. But I also love how she has enabled hundreds of people to collaborate on a song and split the proceeds or royalty payments using Ethereum smart contracts. I mean, that just blows my mind. And to think that she also still has time to create and promote a documentary too. And I think everything that she's doing there is amazing for two reasons. One, in a world where it's tempting to say, but we've always done it this way, she's tore up that rulebook and started from scratch. How can we create music with tech, videos, and create a fairer payment system for collaborators? There's just a few examples. And two, I think there are many, many big newspapers, magazines, online publications that are all ruled by view counts. And guess what? Bad news sells, good news doesn't sell. So they roll out fear-mongering stories about how tech is going to ruin the world. And they might get a few thousand hits from those scary articles or with clickbait headlines, and it'll please their advertiser for another month. But that's it. I mean, what have they accomplished? They've ultimately just spread fear. Well done, gang. Sleep tight. But the reality is, we cannot get back to the past. That's gone. We're heading into the future, where, yes, there will be challenges, but also there will be endless opportunities for everyone. So rather than scare people, how about we educate them and help lead the way and show them the art of the possible? And for me, that's what Taryn is doing here. And I stand up from my podcasting chair and salute her for doing just that. Because we don't need more articles warning that AI is like the fictional Terminator movies. It is just that, a fictional movie. How about we transform healthcare or humanitarian aid and help us put each other first? Because technology should remove us from those robotic tasks and ultimately get us back to being human. But hey, these are just my impassioned rants as a lover of technology and how it can create solutions rather than problems. But now I'm going to pass on the baton over to you guys. I mean, email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. Tell me I'm speaking sense or complete rubbish. Either way, I want to hear your opinions. And you can also tweet me at Neil C. Hughes or record me a message over on my website. Go to techblogwriter.co.uk/podcast. You can see one of the videos that Taryn's created for one of her music tracks and listen to the show there as well. And also hit a record button and you can record me a virtual voicemail message. And also, if you are attending the Adobe Summit in Las Vegas next week, and you'd like to say hello, let me know. Just pop me a quick message. But I think I've worn myself out now after my little tech sermon. So I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell. Thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.